You can bully me if you want to. I don't actually care. I am this mad mom, and apparently I'm a bully magnet.
Hi Curslings. I'm back with an update about this mad mama and the situation regarding her kids and child protective services. The last 3 days have been a whirlwind of information, and based on the update Veronica posted Sunday, it seems like we were right about how CPS got involved. But before we get into that, I want us to take a small step back and remember that Veronica is still a victim. She's a victim of spousal abuse and narcissistic abuse. And while it's easy for us, especially in the heat of the moment, to say, why let him be near you? Why let him be around the kids if you knew? Urgh! I understand that it's not always that simple, especially when there's kids involved and the status of their marriage and, more importantly, their custody agreement, if they even had one, is unknown. That doesn't mean that our feelings about the situation are invalid, just that this isn't black and white. And even though it might feel like it should be black and white, this kind of thing rarely is. And I think some empathy is needed when trying to understand how we got here. This doesn't mean that I'm advocating for giving Veronica a pass on everything that we know about her, or that this excuses a lot of the very questionable decisions that she's made over the years, because I'm not at all. That stuff is very problematic and inexcusable in my opinion. I just think that sometimes, especially on the internet, it's easy to forget that there's a human behind the screen, even if they're a shit human. That's all. Anyway, let's get into it. Around mid-morning Sunday, Veronica uploaded this TikTok titled The Whole Story, where she broke down the timeline of events with CPS and her hospitalization.
I'm gonna lay out the timeline of events from the beginning.
Now, this TikTok clarified some things and it muddied other things. So much so that I very much believe that Veronica is still not telling us the whole truth of what happened. So using this TikTok as our framework, here's what we do know about the timeline of events as laid out by Veronica over the last couple days, if not month. Beginning on May 11th, when Veronica uploads this TikTok of her son M at the dentist. This is the same child who in February had this growth.
It literally looks like a teeny tiny tooth is growing out of your gums. That's what it looks like.
Which he extracted himself, leading to a massive wave of backlash, a campaign for CPS to be called, and Veronica actually deleting the TikTok in response to that backlash. May 29th, Veronica uploads this TikTok about Dee's neuroblastoma. It's in response to this article in the very reputable UK newspaper The Sun, which was titled, "I'm a mum of 12 and made a wish list for my baby with cancer. Mean trolls accused me of begging. He didn't get a thing."
I was scrolling on Facebook and I saw the article that The Sun posted about my family. They did interview me. I did not say Donnie didn't get a thing. I said that I had to take the wish list down because the haters kept messing with it. And I thought it was really mean that they would do that.
The article will go on to describe Veronica's food insecurities, writing, "As a result of her huge brood, Veronica's yearly food bill totals an eye-watering 19,243 pounds. Due to this, the single mom shared that she has to feed her kids soup, macaroni, hot dogs, and packet ramen, as she doesn't have enough cash to support her family. I'm trying to take care of my kids as best I can," Veronica is quoted. "This month, I didn't have any money, so had to spend $1,400 in food stamps. It's impossible to feed 11 people on $1,400. The prices of everything right now are tight." In her TikTok update about Dee's neuroblastoma, which was covered in my last video, Veronica clarifies that she doesn't actually receive food stamps for her son with cancer, or disability, or stimulus checks, as he doesn't have a birth certificate or social insurance number to qualify him for state benefits.
So Donnie did have health insurance, and a lot of people have asked for updates on my son's health, how's his cancer. Yeah, so Donnie has not had health insurance since January of this year, and we don't even know whether or not he's doing okay, and I'm hoping he is, but I'm not going to be able to get his health insurance back on until I get his birth certificate and his social security card.
Which is super responsible parenting when your toddler has cancer. 2 days later, on May 31st, her ex-husband Marty, although they have yet to officially divorce it seems, is arrested for child SA. According to Veronica, this is when CPS is involved.
CPS initiated a case because of my ex, which, as they should, I guess.
Now, it's unclear who reported Marty for child SA. Some have speculated that Victoria was his victim and reported him. However, based on the charges he received, if there was abuse, it happened over 10 years ago, as Victoria, who now goes by Jax, is now 24. This has led others to wonder if the school reported Marty, as he was actively caring for the younger children on and off over the last year, including last summer, while Veronica went off on dates with random men she met on Tinder.
Easygoing and traveling. Let's see. No. Ricardo, 32, kind of sporty. Maybe. Tim is 49. I don't know who Tim is, so it's a no. I'm not dating a hat. Not my type. Not my type. No. If I can see your nipples in the first picture, it's immediately no.
Or if it was someone outside of the Mad family who reported him, we're not sure what triggered the arrest as of yet. June 1st, Veronica posts this sex kitten selfie to her Instagram. During the first week of June, Marty has his hearing, presumably, I'm guessing, as according to Veronica, it was during this court appearance that the status of D is brought up by Marty's lawyer to the judge, which is odd.
But my ex's lawyer was like, just take all the kids so that Donnie can get medical care. And the judge was like, well, let's meet back up later. I don't know about all that.
I'm going to guess that it's because the court is mandating no contact with children, including his kids, due to the nature of the charges. However, it's very unclear why Marty's lawyer chose to bring up Dee's cancer and lack of health insurance to treat it, though. But apparently, this is when the seed of surrendering Dee to the state was allegedly first planted.
And so, like I said, it was a very difficult decision, but I just did what I thought I had to do to keep him alive. So, he's not coming home until I'm able to get his documents.
I also found it interesting that Veronica was at court with Marty during this hearing. Like, why was she there? Like, what's that about?
And so I contacted the worker and was like, hold up. If I let you take Donnie, can you get him medical care? And she was like, yes. And I was like, and it'll be temporary. And she was like, yes. I was like, okay.
So Veronica agrees to it, and they set up a follow-up visit on or around June 11th or 12th. After this court appearance, Veronica has her wisdom teeth pulled. I'm guessing between June 6th or 7th.
So I get my wisdom teeth pulled, taking my medicine. It's too much for me. It's too much. It hurts. I take more. I take more. I take more.
According to Veronica, the dentist did not prescribe any painkillers, so she relied on over-the-counter, extra-strength, off-brand Tylenol, taking 2 800-milligram pills every 4 hours, with a few extra for good measure. On June 8th, Marty is released from jail, likely on bail. And on June 8th or 9th, it seems like Veronica goes to visit her boyfriend, who seems to live near Oswego, which is 44 minutes away from Syracuse, where Veronica lives. We know this from comments that Veronica left on her TikToks from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. As one, she confirmed that the ambulance took her to the hospital in Oswego before she was moved to a different hospital, presumably one in Syracuse. And two, in another comment where she mentions that her boyfriend was with her. There was also this TikTok from Friday where she talked about someone singing to her while she was in like the deepest, darkest part of her illness.
Hold on to me. Tell me you got me.
Where she wrote in the description, "It was intense and scary, but your voice brought me back, and I love you so much for staying with me, even when it got scary." Heart emoji. Now, it's not the first time that Veronica has gone away for the weekend to see a guy she was dating. So it's more than likely that she had gone away for the weekend after having her wisdom teeth pulled. I could be wrong, but logically that seems to be what has happened. As such, over the course of the weekend and into Monday, Veronica continued to pop extra strength Tylenol like candy. And at some point between June 9th and 11th, Veronica starts to feel sick and realizes she's taken too much Tylenol.
So I just pop in the Tylenols, one more. And then I read the label and realized that they were extra strength. And I was like, I fucked up.
911 is called, and she is taken by ambulance to the hospital in Oswego. June 11th or 12th, the caseworker meets Veronica at the hospital to discuss D, and Veronica agrees to surrender him to the state.
The CPS worker, I guess she meets up with me there to sign some paperwork.
I'm guessing that the worker called ahead to confirm their meeting, and Veronica informed her that she wasn't at home. I'm actually not too sure how this unfolded. There's also a discrepancy in her story here as well, as in her TikToks from Friday, she referred to the caseworker from CPS as a he.
And one of the things that I thought was really interesting is the CPS worker who I spoke to said that his sister accidentally did the same thing once.
And in this TikTok from Sunday as a she.
The CPS worker, I guess she meets up with me there to sign some paperwork.
I don't know if she met with more than one CPS worker or what. Whoever they were, the worker, realizing that the kids aren't with Veronica and that likely Marty can't be near them, goes to check on them.
But now she knows I'm not home.
Probably after Veronica tells her that they're in the care of her second oldest son, Adam, who just turned 18.
Because in my head, I'm like, wow, that's really nice that they're trying to help, you know, because it's a lot of responsibility for Adam to have to worry about. And if they want to help out for a few weeks, it's no big deal.
Now, in the comments and in the TikTok she uploaded Saturday, Veronica claims that Adam and Andrew were at the house.
When I left, I had Andrew and Adam, 2 adults. And during the day, the kids go to school. So really, it was just like Adam with the 2 little ones.
However, Andrew is enlisted in the U.S. Marines, so if he was actually there, it was as a visit only, not in a permanent capacity unless he was discharged. I also find it hard to believe that Andrew was there at all because Veronica was seemingly out with her boyfriend. If her son was home for a visit, you'd think she'd put off spending time with her boyfriend until he returned to wherever he's currently stationed, which last I knew was Florida. You'd think. Anyway, according to Veronica, the caseworker went to her home in Syracuse and told Adam that the kids under 18 couldn't stay in the house, that they'd have to leave.
So she goes to my house and she tells my kids, you guys, you can't be here. Your mom's not here. You're going to have to find somewhere else to go. So she tells my children to leave the house for fucking some reason.
Even deeming the house unfit, as apparently there was no running water.
I didn't know that they told my kids to leave the house so that they could charge me with neglect. Oh yeah, and then another thing, the girl that has my daughter, she was like, oh yeah, and there's no running water at your house.
Veronica, learning this way after the fact, presumably contacted Adam about it on June 22nd, where she wondered why he didn't tell her that the water was off, as she would have sent him money to have it turned back on.
So then I contact Adam, and I'm like, Adam, why didn't you just tell me there's no running water at the house? I'll send you some money.
Which, by the way, is a bit of a red flag. Her reaction wasn't, why is there no water? Oh my God, why don't we have water? It was, why didn't you tell me it needed to be paid? Ma'am, he's not supposed to keep track of that. Granted, this is coming from someone who made this TikTok laughing about paying her water bill on time back in February.
I am so happy because I paid my water bill on time.
And whose hydro was shut off last year because her ex Marty didn't bother to pay it. So yeah, bars on the floor here. Anyway, in another comment, Veronica also clarified that she sent money to Adam for food on Saturday.
Because I didn't want the kids just at the house. I didn't want Adam having to take care of them. I didn't even leave the food stamps at home. They were in my purse. So I couldn't afford to send enough money. And I already know that it's not like I could ask people for help.
So what I imagine happened was that CPS arrived, saw the state of the house, bearish cupboards, and 3 teenagers overwhelmed with a bunch of little kids, including one who has cancer and a 2-year-old, and decided, nope, everyone out.
But apparently CPS was like, well, Adam is just a fresh, young, brand new adult who couldn't possibly handle babysitting his siblings. And so they treated me like I had abandoned the kids.
After meeting with the caseworker on June 11th, I'm assuming, Veronica's condition deteriorated and she was admitted to the ICU and intubated. That seems to be when the vomiting, hallucinations, and nightmares seem to have ramped up.
I end up in the ICU because I'm still sick and like throwing up and blacking out, and I'm basically like, I was so sick it was like I was in another world. I was intubated. When I finally did wake up, I thought it had been months. I was really, really confused. The ammonia levels in my blood were so high that I was literally seeing giants. So I was paranoid. It was a physiological thing. It wasn't like a mental health thing. It was like the poison levels in my blood were just too high.
CPS then gets back in touch with her a day or two later, again I'm assuming after they went to her house and saw the state of things and removed the kids.
They told my kids that they couldn't be at home, and so they just went wherever the fuck, and CPS just decided that they would swoop in and take them.
Veronica, who is severely unwell because of all the toxins in her body, and thus very confused, agrees to what CPS tells her, thinking that this is just temporary.
So when CPS contacted me and said, you know, your kids are here, how about we set them up in foster care while you're healing?
I'm assuming this is when the CPS worker mentioned the lack of groceries because in her retelling, Veronica worried about her kids not having enough food as one of the reasons she agreed to surrender them to CPS.
I didn't even leave the food stamps at home. They were in my purse. So I couldn't afford to send enough money.
As at that point, she didn't know if she was going to live or not.
And at this point, I'm like, okay, I don't even know what the hell is going on with my body. I don't know why I'm dying. Maybe I'm not dying. Maybe I'm getting better. But I don't want my kids to not have food. So, okay, yeah. You know, for a few weeks, that's great.
Her teen daughter, Em, also gets in touch with her at some point about seeing her boyfriend.
So I agree to it. And then the next day, I find out that one of my kids is with someone I know. I message her, and I'm like, hey, my daughter wants to go visit her boyfriend. I'm fine with it. Why don't you go ahead and let her? And she's, like, talking about, I don't think that she needs a boyfriend, and I'm going to let her focus on getting ready for college. And I'm, what are you talking about?
I'm guessing between June 17th and 20th, as on June 21st, Veronica confirms in her comments that she had only spoken with Em at that point. So Veronica gets in touch with the friend that is taking care of her daughter Em, and that's when she's informed that her friend actually has custody of Em for the next year.
What are you talking about college for? I'll be back in a couple weeks. You're only needed for a couple weeks, bro. And she's like, no, the worker told us that this can take up to a year. And I'm like, what? Because that's not what I was agreeing to. I thought I was agreeing to my kids finding a safe place because for some reason they couldn't be at home. I didn't even know what was going on.
Now this is where the timeline gets wonky again, if you haven't noticed, because Veronica claims that she found out about all of this on June 22nd, on Saturday, which means she contacted this friend on the 21st or 22nd and not before then, which means that her daughter Em reached out on Friday, or at least about the boyfriend thing.
So I contact Mara. She's like, yeah, the social worker told us we couldn't be at the house. And I was like...
The 21st was also when Veronica had court with CPS in the morning, which I'm guessing she attended via Zoom, and when her kids are officially taken by the state.
I made that decision. Now I'm feeling a lot better. And it's unfortunate because today was court, and today was the day they were officially taken.
In comments, Veronica claims that she was still hallucinating during that hearing. That afternoon, though, she also officially announces on TikTok that she has surrendered her kids to CPS. Then, on June 22nd, Veronica claims that she only just found out about what really happened with CPS. Specifically, that they told her kids to leave the house to set her up for child neglect and abandonment or whatever.
They were lying and putting stuff in their little paperwork that was completely untrue, and that's why I'm pissed. right now.
And that's also when Veronica claims she found out about CPS saying there was no running water.
So then I contact Adam, and I'm like, Adam, why didn't you just tell me there's no running water at the house? I'll send you some money. So he sends me a video of the water running, and I'm like, so what the fuck? Like, they just were making shit up.
And in her comments on Saturday, Veronica also insisted that the house was clean, even though in her TikToks on Friday, she was asking for donations to get the house sorted.
I have every intention of starting the proceedings to getting them back as soon as I get home. I do have my Cash App in my bio if anyone wants to donate to help. I'm obviously not working right now.
Writing in the description of this TikTok about overdosing on acetaminophen, I am asking for support from the followers so I can get some things repaired at the house to make it easier for me to get the kids back, which is confusing. As if the house was fine, she wouldn't need to get it sorted to bring the kids home, right?
And I already know that it's not like I could ask people for help because people get really offended whenever I try to ask for help. So, like on my last post.
Veronica also reiterates her plan to fight back and appeal the decision, but honestly, I don't think she stands much of a chance of succeeding in any appeal process at this point, given everything that we do know.
So like I said, I'm going to have my lawyer appeal because they just absolutely took advantage of me in a completely vulnerable, helpless state, you know, when I just got out of the ICU, almost died, and they're not going to get away with this.
Which admittedly isn't a lot, but it seems to be enough for a lot of people to have doubts. I mean, Veronica confirmed it herself. CPS was initiated because of Marty being arrested for child SA, not seemingly because of a doctor reporting Dee for not having health insurance or anything else. It seems to specifically have to do with Marty getting reported.
CPS initiated a case because of my ex, which, as they should, I guess.
And the fact that Dee's health and lack of paperwork was brought up by Marty's lawyer suggests that CPS was already looking quite closely at Veronica's home situation, likely because the lawyer on behalf of Marty reported what was actually going on, or what Marty said was going on.
But my ex's lawyer was like, just take all the kids so that Donnie can get medical care. And the judge was like, well, let's meet back up later. I don't know about all that.
So it's possible that CPS already planned to remove the kids from the house, beginning with Dee, and Veronica was given the choice to surrender the kids willingly, which would look better for her when she petitioned to get them back, or else they would have been taken against her will, which would have made it difficult for her to regain custody of them, if at all. But what I find upsetting about this timeline, as it was laid out by Veronica, is that she knew she was giving Dee to CPS before she got sick. And instead of being at home with her kids, with Dee, she was out with her boyfriend a day or two before she was to surrender him to the state.
And so I contacted the worker and was like, hold up. If I let you take Donnie, can you get him medical care? And she was like, yes. And I was like, and it'll be temporary. And she was like, yes. I was like, okay.
She couldn't even be home for that. Never mind the fact that while she was out with her boyfriend, her kids probably had just enough food in the house to survive on until she got back.
I didn't even leave the food stamps at home. Like, they were in my purse. So I couldn't afford to send enough money.
As Veronica has said many times in her grocery haul videos, that she doesn't bother to shop for the week, just for a few days at a time.
Shopping for my 12 offspring and my grandbaby. So tonight I didn't feel like doing dishes or doing anything crazy, so I'm just getting some simple things like this veggie tray to go with dinner. Then I hit up the frozen food section. These meatballs will go pretty nicely for meatball subs. We can use these fries tomorrow. These will make a good snack, plus not all my kids like pizza, and we're having pizza for lunch tomorrow. For breakfast, we're having berries, potatoes, orange juice, and those toaster strudel things. I'm getting a variety of flavors so that everyone will be happy. I just love that these are simple and they taste good. This goes on the meatball subs. I like to get these for the kids in case they wake up before me and need a snack. And these will be for tomorrow's dinner. I'm getting spicy and non-spicy because, you know, different kids have different tastes. And I want everyone to be happy. I had to buy a few gallons of milk. I got a little canned fruit and some water. This is the only kind I drink. I think these sub rolls will be perfect for the meatball subs. I got some crackers for Adam, and I think that should about do it for tonight and tomorrow.
So literally, Her being hospitalized meant that her kids had a few days worth of food to get by on. And with Marty in jail / not being allowed to be around the kids, there was likely no one else to care or provide for them. No one with income anyway. There's also speculation that Veronica might be charged with more than just neglect and abandonment, as Jax confirmed in comments Friday that Veronica was aware of the child SA for a few years, but seemingly did not report it, as Marty is only now being charged for it. Knowing about child SA is considered a crime in New York, as it's considered a failure to act. Basically, you knew and you did nothing about it. I think the moment that CPS got involved because of Marty, it was downhill for Veronica. She was going to be charged with neglect no matter what, if not worse. Whether this was a factor in her ODing on Tylenol or not, I cannot say for sure. If it was a suicide attempt, she would have been held for psychiatric care, which doesn't seem to have occurred, or if it did, it was before she posted to TikTok. I personally don't think her overdose was considered an intentional suicide attempt by the hospital staff, but I do think she was careless with how much Tylenol she was taking because of what was happening with her kids and Marty. Whether she was purposely careless or not, who could say? Probably column A, column B. So I guess we see. Veronica has been quiet since her last update on Sunday, and according to Jax, she's still in the hospital, at least as of Sunday evening. And yeah, it's pretty grim. But at this point, I think this needed to happen. Veronica has failed her kids, and I don't say that lightly. I know she's been through it. But it's also been clear for a very long time that she's been checked out and unable to meet her kids' needs. Regardless of her own trauma, mental health, physical health, and the abuse that she's suffered, she was still responsible for those kids. And if her children were being abused by Marty, she's complicit, especially if that abuse continued after she learned about it and still allowed him to be around her kids, still allowed it to happen without doing anything. And if that is the case, I hope they throw the fucking book at her. Anyway, that's it for me. I want to thank everyone for liking, commenting, and subscribing. This has been a bit of a rough one, so thank you for making it this far, and I will catch you in the next one. Hopefully, a less dismal one. Bye!